What if I told you that everything we chase in life, success, wealth, recognition, isn't what truly brings happiness? As an 80-year-old physician who's treated thousands of seniors over 3 decades, I've seen both vibrant centenarians and miserable millionaires. Today, I'll share what took me 30 years to understand about finding joy in our golden years. I'm Dr. James Anderson, and like many of you watching, I spent decades believing happiness came from achievement. More degrees, bigger house, prestigious titles. I pursued them all. But my elderly patients taught me something profound about contentment that changed everything. Before we dive in, I'd love to know which city you're watching from. Drop it in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom from 8 decades of life experience. Let me start with a story that opened my eyes to what really matters. Let me share something personal. 30 years ago, at age 50, I thought I had it all figured out. Chief of medicine at a prestigious hospital, a mansion in Boston's elite Beacon Hill, and a portfolio that would make any financial advisor proud. I was living what many would call the American dream. But something was missing. You see, every morning I'd look in the mirror and think, just one more achievement, one more award, one more investment. I kept moving the goalposts of happiness further and further away. Sound familiar? Many of us in our senior years find ourselves still chasing that elusive something more. Let me tell you about George, a 75-year-old patient who recently visited my practice. A self-made millionaire with 3 vacation homes and a yacht. Yet when we talked, tears welled up in his eyes. "Doc," he said, "I can buy anything I want, but I can't buy peace of mind. I've spent my whole life climbing the ladder of success, only to realize it was leaning against the wrong wall." George's story isn't unique. Over 3 decades, I've treated countless successful seniors who achieved everything society told them would bring happiness. CEOs, retired judges, wealthy entrepreneurs, all wrestling with the same emptiness. They'd followed the standard prescription for success: work hard, accumulate wealth, gain status. But in their golden years, they discovered these achievements brought temporary satisfaction at best. Here's what I've learned and what I wish I'd known at 50. We're not actually chasing success, wealth, or recognition. We're chasing feelings. We think the next achievement will finally make us feel worthy, secure, or loved. But these feelings can't be earned through external accomplishments. They must be cultivated from within. Think about it. How many times have you reached a goal only to feel satisfied for a day or two before seeking the next achievement? How many of you, watching right now, are still waiting to feel complete once you reach that next milestone? I see this especially among my patients in their 60s and 70s, still striving, still seeking, still believing happiness lies in the next accomplishment. The truth is, this endless pursuit isn't serving us. At our age, we've earned the right to stop proving ourselves. We've earned the right to find peace and contentment exactly where we are. The real question isn't, what more can I achieve, but rather, what's preventing me from being happy right now? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you found yourself caught in this cycle of endless pursuit? Share your experience in the comments below. What you're feeling might help someone else realize they're not alone. In the next few minutes, I'll share what I've learned from my most content patients, those who found genuine happiness in their later years. Their secret might surprise you. Let me tell you about my most remarkable patient, Martha. At 94, she lives alone in a modest apartment in suburban Boston. Her Social Security check barely covers her expenses, and arthritis makes every movement a conscious effort. Yet whenever she visits my office, her presence lights up the entire room. Her story holds the key to understanding true contentment in our later years. "Dr. Anderson," she told me during her last visit, "people keep asking me why I'm so happy at my age. They see my limitations, my simple life, and they don't understand. But I've learned something most people never do. Happiness isn't about what you have or what you can do. It's about how you see what you have. More importantly, it's about how you see yourself. Over my 3 decades of practice, I've noticed a fascinating pattern among my 90-plus patients. Those who find genuine contentment share certain characteristics, and none of them have anything to do with money, status, or physical condition. Martha exemplifies this perfectly. Despite her physical limitations and modest means, she's mastered what I call the 3 pillars of contentment: acceptance of what is, gratitude for what remains, and the wisdom to find purpose in her current situation. Every morning, Martha shares, I wake up and decide to find 3 things to be grateful for. Sometimes it's as simple as the birds outside my window, a phone call from my grandson, or the kind neighbor who helps with my groceries. But here's what most people don't understand. It's not just about listing things you're thankful for. It's about truly feeling that gratitude in your heart, letting it fill you up until there's no room for bitterness or regret. What makes Martha's approach so powerful is her complete liberation from comparison, perhaps the biggest thief of joy in our later years. She doesn't measure her today against her yesterday, nor does she compare her life to others. Instead, she's developed what I call present moment appreciation, the ability to find satisfaction in whatever the current moment offers, no matter how simple or challenging it might be. This perspective transforms how she handles challenges. When arthritis flares up, instead of becoming frustrated, she uses it as a reminder to be grateful for the movements she can still make. When her budget is tight, she finds joy in simple pleasures like watching the sunset or having a meaningful conversation with a friend. But it goes deeper than that. She's learned to see difficulties as opportunities for growth, even at 94. You know what's interesting about aging? She once told me, it strips away everything that isn't essential. All those things we thought were so important, they fall away. What remains is what truly matters: our capacity to love, to appreciate, to connect with others. That's real wealth. What's most remarkable about Martha's story isn't just her happiness. It's how her attitude affects everyone around her. Her home health aide told me working with Martha is the highlight of her week. Her neighbors regularly stop by just to soak in her positive energy. She's proof that true contentment radiates outward, creating ripples of joy that touch others' lives. Through Martha, I've learned that genuine happiness in our later years isn't about maintaining the status quo or fighting against change. It's about finding peace with where we are, discovering new ways to contribute, and recognizing that our worth isn't tied to what we can or cannot do. I'm curious, how do you view your own circumstances? Do you find yourself fighting against the changes that come with aging, or have you discovered ways to find peace with where you are? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experience might help others recognize where they stand on this journey. Coming up next, I'll share the profound truth about fulfillment that took me decades to understand. A revelation that completely changed how I view happiness in our golden years. Now, let me share what I consider the most profound truth I've discovered in my 30 years of practice. One that completely transformed how I view fulfillment in our later years. It's about understanding where true contentment actually comes from, and it might surprise you. Think back to the last time you achieved something significant. Maybe it was retiring comfortably, watching your grandchild graduate, or reaching a fitness goal despite physical limitations. Remember that feeling of satisfaction? Now, here's the crucial question. Was it the achievement itself that brought you joy? Or was it the feeling of pride, accomplishment, and self-worth that came with it? This distinction is everything. You see, we've been taught that fulfillment comes from external achievements, but the truth is more nuanced. What we're really seeking isn't the achievement itself. It's the internal feeling that achievement gives us. And here's the revolutionary part. We don't have to wait for achievements to give ourselves those feelings. Let me explain through my own journey. At 75, I found myself struggling with retirement from full-time practice. My identity had been so wrapped up in being Dr. Anderson, the busy physician, that stepping back felt like losing myself. Then one day, while talking with a 92-year-old patient about her own retirement journey, something clicked. She said, "The day I realized my worth wasn't in what I did, but in who I am, was the day I truly started living." This is what I call the inner worth revelation, understanding that our value doesn't diminish with age or reduced activity. Think about it. When you look at a beloved grandparent or elderly friend, do you value them less because they're not as active or productive as they once were? Of course not. So why do we apply this harsh standard to ourselves? The truth about fulfillment in our golden years is this. It comes from accepting ourselves fully, exactly as we are right now. Not as we were 20 years ago, not as we wish we could be, but as we are in this moment. This acceptance isn't resignation, it's liberation. It's understanding that our worth isn't tied to our productivity, appearance, or abilities. For those watching who might be thinking, "That sounds nice, but it's easier said than done," I understand. This shift in mindset didn't happen overnight for me either. But here's what I've observed. The moment we start questioning our old beliefs about what makes us valuable, something profound begins to change. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you ever noticed how your happiness depends more on your perspective than your circumstances? Share your experiences in the comments below. Your insight might be exactly what another viewer needs to hear. In our next section, I'll share practical steps to start cultivating this inner fulfillment, regardless of your current situation. But remember, the journey begins with this fundamental truth. You are worthy of happiness right now, exactly as you are. Now that we understand where true fulfillment comes from, let's talk about practical steps you can take each day to find that inner peace. As someone who's practiced medicine for 3 decades and is now 80 myself, I'll share techniques that work specifically for us seniors, taking into account our physical limitations and daily realities. Let's start with the morning ritual I learned from my own journey and have since recommended to hundreds of patients. When you first wake up, before reaching for your phone or turning on the news, take 3 deep breaths. Simple, yes, but here's the important part. During each breath, acknowledge one thing about yourself you're grateful for. Not your achievements or possessions, but something about who you are, your kindness, your resilience, your capacity to love. I've found this particularly powerful for those of us dealing with health challenges. On days when my arthritis flares up or my energy is low, this practice reminds me that my worth isn't tied to my physical condition. One of my patients, now 85, adapted this practice to include gentle stretching in bed. "It's my way of thanking my body for carrying me this far," she says, "even if it can't do everything it used to." Throughout the day, I want you to try what I call the pause and appreciate technique. Set 3 specific times, perhaps before each meal, where you completely stop whatever you're doing. Take 30 seconds to observe your surroundings and find one thing that brings you joy. It could be sunlight through your window, a comfortable chair, or a photo of loved ones. This practice builds our contentment muscle and trains our minds to notice the good that's already present. For handling moments of anxiety or worry, something many of us face more frequently as we age, I've developed a simple but effective approach. I call it the "What's True Right Now" method. When fears about health, finances, or the future arise, pause and ask yourself, what's actually true in this moment? Am I safe right now? Do I have what I need right now? This brings us back to the present moment, where peace is always possible. Another practical tool, especially valuable for those of us who might feel isolated, is what I call connection creation. Each day, make one intentional connection. It could be calling a friend, writing a letter to a grandchild, or even just having a meaningful conversation with your grocery store clerk. The key is making it intentional, not just casual interaction. For evening practice, I recommend what I call the wisdom review. Before bed, reflect on one piece of wisdom you've gained through your years that you're grateful for. This shifts our perspective from what we've lost with age to what we've gained, our invaluable life experience and understanding. Here's a crucial point. These practices aren't about forcing positive thinking or denying real challenges. They're about building our capacity to find peace alongside whatever difficulties we face. As we age, this skill becomes increasingly valuable. I encourage you to start with just one of these practices, whichever resonates most with you. Share in the comments which one you'll try first, or if you have your own practice that brings you peace. Remember, we're all learning from each other on this journey. In our final section, I'll share how these practices can help create a lasting legacy of joy that benefits not just us, but generations to come. As we approach our final topic, let me share something profound I've observed over my 30 years in medicine. The happiest seniors aren't those who focus on their own contentment alone. They're the ones who actively share their joy and wisdom with others. They understand that creating a legacy of happiness extends far beyond material inheritance. At 80, I've come to realize that our greatest gift to future generations isn't our achievements or assets. It's our example of how to live with grace, purpose, and joy. Think about it. What do you want your grandchildren to remember about you? Not just what you accomplished, but how you lived, how you loved, how you found peace despite life's challenges. Let me share a personal revelation. 5 years ago, my granddaughter asked me why I seemed so much happier than many of her friends' grandparents. This question stopped me in my tracks. I realized that without intending to, I was teaching her something valuable about aging, that our later years can be a time of profound contentment and purpose, not just decline and limitation. This is what I call living legacy, the daily demonstration of finding joy and meaning at any age. When we show younger generations that happiness doesn't depend on external circumstances, we give them an invaluable gift. We're teaching them that they don't have to wait for perfect conditions to be content. Consider how your own approach to aging affects those around you. When you practice the acceptance and gratitude we've discussed, you're not just improving your own life, you're showing others a better way to live. Every time you choose joy despite challenges, you're leaving footprints for others to follow. But creating this legacy isn't about grand gestures. It's in the small moments, sharing a life lesson with a grandchild, showing kindness to a stranger, or simply demonstrating how to face difficulties with grace. These seemingly minor actions create ripples that extend far beyond our own lives. I encourage you to think about your unique wisdom, the insights that only your specific journey could have taught you. Perhaps it's resilience through hardship, the art of forgiveness, or finding beauty in simple moments. These are treasures worth sharing, not through preaching, but through living example. For those watching who might think, "But what do I have to offer?" Remember this: your very presence, your journey, your way of moving through life with awareness and intention is a gift to those around you. Your smile, your kindness, your ability to find peace at 60, 70, 80, or beyond. These are powerful teachings in themselves. Share in the comments below. What wisdom from your life experience do you most want to pass on to future generations? Your insight might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. As we wrap up this video, remember, the legacy of joy we create isn't just about what we leave behind. It's about how we live right now, in this moment. After 30 years as a physician and reaching 80 myself, I can tell you with certainty, true happiness isn't waiting in the next achievement or milestone. It's here now in this moment, available to all of us in our golden years through self-acceptance and inner peace. Your value doesn't diminish with age. In fact, your capacity for joy can deepen with each passing year. Whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, you're worthy of happiness exactly as you are. If this message touched you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more wisdom from 8 decades of life experience. Remember, it's never too late to discover true contentment.